Part 16. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 151. Sir, can you start cutting? The service staff at Liulikan asked Xiao Ding. Let's start. Suren looked at the stones they had chosen. The energy stone in the one Xiao Ding chose was smaller than that in Zhou Changshen's. But it's just a little smaller. Suren looked at Xiao Ding with some confusion. He didn't know whether Xiao Ding did it on purpose or if he really made a mistake. This will be the key to victory or defeat. Stone polishing begins. Everyone stared directly at the stone Xiao Ding chose. The confrontation between the two big betters is definitely a wonderful game. Watching the stone skin being worn away bit by bit, the expression on Zhou Changshen's face became more and more excited. He is 100% sure that he will win this time. He did miss the stone back then, but Xiao Ding's departure directly plunged him into an abyss. No one knew what kind of torture he suffered. Today he wanted to let Xiao Ding know that abandoning him was a wrong decision. He wants everyone to know that his stone gambling skills are superior to Xiao Ding's. Wow, it's green! Someone exclaimed. After polishing less than 10 centimeters, the shadow of the original energy stone was revealed inside. Such a large size means that Xiao Ding's stone is worth more than 5 billion. And looking at the dark green color, the energy contained in this raw energy stone is extremely sufficient. In addition to volume, color is also an important factor in determining the price of rough stones. The service staff continued to polish it carefully. This was worth billions, so he couldn't help but be careful. As expected of Xiao Ding, the former master of stone gambling. The price of any piece he chose increased dozens of times. If I'm not mistaken, the price of this stone is 300 million, right? Not bad, it feels like it has doubled at least 20 times. Everyone looked at Xiao Ding in amazement and at the former master of stone gambling. However, Xiao Ding's face was now calm and there was no trace of excitement at all. Xiao Ding stared at the stone in a daze, seemingly lost in thought. After hearing the praise from everyone around him, Zhou Changsheng smiled disdainfully and said, "What a bullshit stone gambler, just watch out for me today and see how he loses to me. It's time that this title belongs to me, Zhou Changsheng." Zhou Changsheng has already seen that the stone Xiao Ding chose is definitely worse than the one he chose. After so many years, he finally won once. He had always lost before. After more than 10 minutes, Xiao Ding's stone had been completely polished. A rough energy stone that was larger than a basketball appeared in front of everyone. Looking at the size, the price was at least 6 billion. There were bursts of applause all around, and everyone admired Xiao Ding's vision. "Sir, are you ready to start cutting?" The service staff looked at Zhou Changsheng. "Wait a minute, I want to raise a line." Zhou Changsheng looked at Xiao Ding resentfully. No matter who loses today, he must kowtow to the opponent 3 times. Hearing this condition, even the people watching could not help but frown. Both of them are well-known bosses, so losing money is nothing, but if it means kneeling down and kowtow, then spreading the word is not about money. This is related to the honor of the entire company. Is there any life and death grudge between Zhou Changsheng and Xiao Ding this time? Why would you add such a bet? I heard that the two of them were the best brothers back then, and they parted ways for no apparent reason. And for so many years, Xiao Ding has done all kinds of business, except gambling. I just don't know if Xiao Ding will agree to this condition. If he agrees, one of the two families will definitely collapse. Zhou Changsheng looked at Xiao Ding and said bitterly, "Xiao Ding, it's just a kowtow, don't you dare to accept it. If you don't even dare to do this, then do you know how I got here back then? Changsheng, why is this between us? Stop talking nonsense, I'm just asking you if you dare." Xiao Ding did not speak. It was not that he did not dare to kowtow. Now so many people in the entire Dingsheng group needed to be fed by him. If he agrees today and loses, Dingsheng group will definitely collapse because of this. He is not alone. Behind him are tens of thousands of people who need the jobs and lives provided by Dingsheng group. There was no way he could agree to this condition. Just when Xiao Ding was about to refuse, Su Ren next to him said, "I promise you for him." "What? Brother Su, you?" Xiao Ding looked at Su Ren in surprise. He knew what kind of stone he had chosen. He didn't understand what Su Ren was thinking. "Don't worry, Director Xiao, we are friends, right? I can't let you lose." "But, you don't understand stone betting, I actually." He wanted to say that the stone he chose actually lost from the beginning, and he was not prepared to win the bet at all. "No need to say more, Mr. Xiao, hasn't his stone not been cut yet? The outcome is uncertain, what are you talking about?" to say in a depressing way. "Haha, Xiao Ding, where did you find this idiot?" Zhou Changsheng glanced at Su Ren, full of mockery. "Zhou Changsheng, you can insult me, Xiao Ding, but you can't insult Mr. Su. Since Mr. Su wants me to agree to your conditions, then I will make this bet with you." Hearing this, Zhou Changsheng looked at Su Ren in disbelief. Xiao Ding actually dared to use his reputation to accept this bet for this person named Su. The onlookers also looked at Su Ren, who was wearing a white jade mask. The voice sounds young. Which family is this young master? For Xiao Ding to value him so much, I really can't think of anyone named Su in the Dragon Kingdom who has such great strength. Do you think that if Xiao Ding loses, will he be angry with this person? It's hard to say, but Xiao Ding must be willing to risk it if he dares to agree. The two brothers Cao Bufan looked at each other, both surprised by Su Ren's identity. It seems that Su Ren's status is higher than they imagined. Now that Xiao Ding has agreed, Zhou Changsheng stopped talking nonsense and immediately said to the service staff, "Cut it for me. Today I will wash away all the hatred I had in the past." As the sound of machines grinding stones sounded, everyone stretched their necks to look at the stone being cut and polished. Less than 2 minutes later, a faint green color appeared. Seeing this scene, the crowd of people watching burst out in admiration. Sure enough, both of them have top-notch vision, and they are both powerful rough stones. Now it depends on the size. The cutting and polishing continued, and as time went by, the smile on Zhou Changsheng's face became brighter and brighter. "Xiao Ding, what can you do to win against me? I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife." Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 152. Boss Xiao is in danger. Zhou Changshen's stone still has a small part that has not been polished, but it seems to be larger than Boss Xiao's. No wonder Zhou Changsheng is so confident. It seems that his stone gambling skills over the years have surpassed Xiao Ding's. I would like to see the expression of the man named Su. I think the expressions under his mask will be very rich later, right? Haha, I don't have any losses. The only one who is unlucky is Xiao Ding. Watching the fun is not too big a deal, these people wish that the stakes between the two of them were bigger. This way they can have more fun watching it. It's not easy to have some different fun, these rich people will naturally not miss this opportunity. Keep cutting. Zhou Changsheng continued to urge. He couldn't wait any longer, he wanted to see Xiao Ding kneeling in front of him to apologize and kowtow. He wanted Xiao Ding to experience the humiliation he had suffered over the years. The stone continued to be polished, and in the end, only the bottom layer of stone skin remained. But it is no longer necessary. Anyone who is not blind can see that the energy rough stone cut out by perimeter is larger than Xiao Ding's. Seeing this, the originally lively scene became quiet, and everyone looked at Xiao Ding. The chairman of Dingsheng Group will kneel down and kowtow in front of Zhou Changsheng in front of everyone today. This kneeling means that there is no chance of cooperation with Caesar's group. It is impossible for Caesar's group to cooperate with such a company. Only at this moment did everyone react. Zhou Changshen's initial goal was not to get the so-called 50% profit. He kowtowed to these three from the beginning. I don't know how the two turned against each other. Xiao Ding looked bitter. Although he knew he would lose, Su Ren asked him to do so. So he did. But no miracle happened until the end. Xiao Ding, if you lose, can you kneel down and kowtow? Zhou Changshen walked up to Xiao Ding and looked at him with an indifferent expression. Look at this friend who you used to talk to about everything. Xiao Ding took a deep breath and softly uttered one word. Good. Everyone shook their heads when they saw this. The heyday is over. Even if it doesn't collapse immediately, it will no longer be possible to rank among the top 10 in the Dragon Kingdom. That person named Su is really harmful. Xiao Ding is not prepared to agree to this bet at all. Who can blame this? I can only blame Xiao Ding for being stupid. Xiao Ding turned to look at Su Ren. He didn't understand, but he would not question Su Ren. Xiao Ding bent his knees and knelt down on the spot. However, the unexpected sound of the collision between his knees and the floor did not sound. Su Ren supported Xiao Ding with one hand and did not let him kneel down. Brother Su. Xiao Ding looked at Su Ren in confusion, not understanding what he was going to do. Su Ren smiled slightly. Boss Xiao, I said I won't let you lose. Boy, what are you doing? Do you want to regret it? Zhou Changshen roared angrily and looked at Su Ren with evil eyes. The man behind him also took a step forward, full of threats. Su Ren looked at Zhou Changshen calmly and said. The bet isn't over yet, who said we lost? Hearing this, everyone laughed and said. Little brother, I hear you sound young. If you don't know how to gamble on stones, you should learn it before you start again, so as not to be embarrassed. I thought he was a bit talented in asking Xiao Ding to agree to this condition, but he turned out to be an idiot. Yes, the result is already obvious. I don't know what he is delaying. Zhou Changsheng suddenly laughed when he heard Su Ren's words. He laughed that Xiao Ding would listen to such a person now. Regardless of their ridicule, Su Ren pointed to the small piece of stone skin remaining at the bottom of Zhou Changshen's stone and said. Isn't it polished yet? Let's polish it clean. Everyone looked at it. They thought they had missed something, but they took a closer look. It's just an insignificant piece of stone skin. Even if the stone skin is not polished, it doesn't matter. Because in terms of volume, Zhou Changsheng has already won. Boy, if you don't understand, go back and learn more before you come back. Otherwise you won't even know when you are embarrassed. Even Xiao Ding shook his head. Forget it, brother Su, I can afford to lose. He didn't want Su Ren to be laughed at by these people anymore, but he just kowtowed 3 times and accepted it. Hold on, Boss Xiao, why are you panicking? I told you to finish polishing the last bit of stone skin. Su Ren still insisted on his own ideas. Heh, interesting. Zhou Changshen looked at the service staff at Li Yulifang and said. After polishing it, let him give up. The waiter glanced at Su Ren and then shook his head. Isn't this a waste of his time? However, he could not refuse the guest's request. He picked up the polishing machine and started polishing. Everyone was staring at the last piece of stone skin. They wanted to see what other mysteries there were in this small area. While everyone was waiting anxiously, the service staff who polished the energy rough stone first changed their expressions. He was the closest, so he noticed something was wrong immediately. His reaction was also watched by the onlookers. What's going on? I see that the waiter's expression has changed. There won't be any change, right? If there is any change in this, it will be really bad. The smile on Zhou Changshen's face also solidified at this time. Could it be that there was really an accident? He didn't believe it. How could there be an accident with such a small amount of stone skin left? Xiao Ding couldn't help but glance at Suren. Although he couldn't see Suren's expression, he could feel Suren's confident aura. Could it be that Chang Sheng and I were both mistaken? Xiao Ding couldn't help but start to doubt. First, sir. The waiter looked at Zhou Changsheng with some trembling. What's wrong? Zhou Changsheng said anxiously. It was now at this juncture. If something happened, he couldn't imagine the consequences. Your energy stone, it is incomplete, there is a crack under the stone skin at the very bottom. The waiter turned the stone over and faced everyone. Everyone stared at the newly polished area with wide eyes. I saw that there were several cracks on the surface of the dark green stone. The energy of the original energy stone is slowly leaking. How can this be? Seeing this scene, Zhou Changsheng stumbled back a few steps and fell to the ground. Impossible, this is impossible. Was it you? It was you who moved your hands and feet while polishing. Sir, please don't slander me. How could this crack be caused by polishing problems? The waiter wouldn't dare take the blame. And it really has nothing to do with him. If there is no problem with polishing, it can only mean that the stone itself is like this. It is an incomplete energy raw stone. Then its price is definitely far lower than Xiao Ding's now. Xiao Ding won this bet on stones. Thinking of this, everyone looked at the man wearing a white jade mask. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 153. How did this person figure it out? Who is this person? Oh my god, such a small piece of stone skin can actually turn the world around. I can't believe it, I can't believe it. No wonder this man is so confident. He can actually fool two masters of stone betting at the same time. How did he do it? Seeing Zhou Changsheng lying on the ground with a confused look on his face, everyone shook their heads. This scene is too dramatic. Zhou Changsheng, who was so domineering just now, could not even sit up. The situation changed in just an instant. Everyone couldn't help but look at Suren again. All this is because of this man named Su. I guess he is no more than 30 years old. It is terrifying that such an age can turn the situation around with unique insight. I'm really curious about his identity now. No wonder Xiao Ding trusts him so much. Xiao Ding frowned, also looking confused. He looked at Suren, wanting to know how he could tell. Boss Xiao, I told you to trust me, right? After all, I have a share in Ding Sheng, right? Brother Su, how did you figure it out? Didn't you say it was your first time contacting stone gambling? Hearing Xiao Ding's words, everyone was shocked again. Oh my god, is this his first time contacting stone gambling? How can this be? Isn't this a uniquely gifted genius? Cao Bufan and others now understand Suren less and less. This was completely beyond their imagination. Everyone wanted to hear how Suren saw the problem. As a result, Suren shook his head and said, "We'll talk about it later. Let's solve the immediate matter first." After hearing this, everyone was inevitably a little disappointed. This intense sense of curiosity is like having a monkey scratching their heart. If they don't know the truth, they may not be able to sleep tonight. This brother named Su, I am willing to pay 5 billion. Can you tell us how you figured it out? One person directly offered a sky-high price to buy the secret. This little money is nothing to him. If he fails to understand this matter, then he will definitely not feel comfortable for the next few days. This little money bought him a few days of comfort, and he felt it was worth it. Others echoed. They also wanted to know how Suren saw it. But Suren still shook his head. Sorry, this is a secret, I won't tell it. Mr. Su, I will add another 5 billion to 10 billion to buy the secret. Is that enough? Yes, even if we knew it, we wouldn't be able to stop you from making money. It's not about money. I'm not short of money either. Seeing that Suren refused to tell whether he was alive or dead, everyone couldn't help but feel disappointed. I definitely haven't been able to sleep well these days. The two brothers Cao Bufan looked at Suren in stunned silence. Was there any mistake? I won't sell it for 10 billion, just say it casually. If they knew it, they would immediately tell them to go out and exchange it for the money. 10 billion, the two brothers were hired for only 3 billion each. How long does it take to earn 10 billion? Suren no longer paid attention to other people's inquiries, but looked at Zhou Changsheng who was lying on the ground. Now that you have lost, fulfill your bet. Zhou Changsheng woke up from his dazed state after hearing these words. Looking at Suren, Zhou Changsheng's eyes were full of anger. It's all because of this person that ruined his good deeds. If it weren't for this person, there would be no way he would lose, and now Xiao Ding is already kneeling in front of him. If looks could kill, Suren would have been killed by him 10,000 times. But even if he was unwilling to do so, he had to accept the reality before his eyes. Haha, Xiao Ding, you win again. God is always like this. I, Zhou Changsheng, will never receive God's favor. Zhou Changsheng stood up from the ground tremblingly. Just as he was about to kneel down, Xiao Ding stopped him. Forget it, Changsheng, the grudge between you and me will be wiped out from now on. Also, I originally wanted to use money to save you back then, but an accident happened. I, Xiao Ding, was the one who felt sorry for you. Xiao Ding sighed and walked outside after speaking. At this point, no one owes anyone anything. Zhou Changsheng stayed there motionless, and then suddenly shouted to Xiao Ding who was already walking towards the door. Xiao Ding, do you think I will accept your favor if you act like this? There is absolutely no way I can forgive you. Xiao Ding paused for a moment, then left without looking back. Suren saw this and followed him. Cao Bufan glanced at the energy rough stone on the cutting table and ordered the waiter. Discount this stone, give us the money, and we will give it to Boss Xiao. The waiter nodded. Since Xiao Ding left, he could only give the money to his guards. After getting the money, Cao Bufan looked at each other and smiled, and did not forget to warn the juniors. No one should mention this money. If Xiao Ding remembers it, we will return it to him. If you haven't thought of it, you certainly have a share. Elder Cao, we didn't see anything. Well, that's right. It's not a waste of time for me to take you out. Several people happily chased Suren and the two. On the street, Xiao Ding walked in front with a confused look on his face, and Suren followed him after a while. You lost to him on purpose when you chose the stone, didn't you? Hearing this, Xiao Ding was stunned. He didn't understand how Suren saw it. Brother Su, how did you see it? And what happened to the longevity stone? At that time, in full view of everyone, it was impossible for Suren to do anything even if he wanted to. And it was indeed Suren's first time contacting stone gambling, he could tell this. As for the matter of extraordinary talent, Xiao Ding has never looked down upon it. For things like gambling on stones, talent can only speed up growth. It is impossible to be so good just after contact. So he, like everyone else, was particularly curious about how Suren could tell. Suren smiled slightly and said lightly. It's just a little trick. Suren just used the river god to control the water vapor in the air to force open Zhou Changsheng's energy stone. As for any special talents, they are all fake. This is also the reason why Suren didn't sell it to others even though they spent 10 billion to buy it. How could such a thing be said? With Zhou Changsheng's domineering demeanor, if he told the truth, he would definitely not let it go. Suren now also owns 20% of the shares of Dingsheng Group, and the rise and fall of Dingsheng will also affect Suren's interests. Small tricks. Xiao Ding could only smile bitterly after hearing this. This terrifying ability to turn things around and change the fate of a top company turned out to be just a small trick in Suren's opinion. I don't know what kind of method is a big method in Suren's eyes. Xiao Ding is a smart man, he knows some things that should be asked and some things that should not be asked. He did not continue to ask, and Suren did not explain further. Anyway, now it seems that Xiao Ding's decision was right. This young man will definitely lead Dingsheng Group to true prosperity one day in the future. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 154. The rooftop of Liyulai Island Tianhai Hotel. Two figures appeared here. It was Zhou Changsheng and his bodyguard who had returned to the hotel after leaving Liyulafang. However, the positions where the two stood were exchanged. Zhou Changsheng, who just allowed you to increase your bet privately. After hearing this, Zhou Changsheng's fat body trembled, his legs softened and he knelt down, completely losing the majesty he had as a big boss just now. Elder Yang, forgive me, I just want to let go of the hatred I felt back then. Humph, Zhou Changsheng, you should understand the purpose of my trip to the Night God sect. If you dare to do something like this that damages the honor of Dingsheng Group again, you will go back to purgatory and train for another 3 years before you come out. Hearing the word purgatory, Zhou Changsheng trembled with fright again, and he finally got out of it. He will never go back in this life. Yes, Elder Yang, I understand. I won't dare to do it again next time. It's best. Remember, the purpose of our trip is to unite these wealthy businessmen, not to attack them. Elder Yang, there is something I don't understand. Can't we just use force to suppress them? Why do we use this method? What do you know? This is an order issued by Yegod himself. If we want to get out of this place of exile, the power of our Yegod cult alone is not enough. Each of these wealthy businessmen are top figures in various countries around the world, and their influence cannot be ignored. Zhou Changsheng had heard the name Land of Exile several times in the Yeshen cult, but no one had ever told him what it was. When Zhou Changsheng was about to ask, the elder in front of him helped him up. Somebody is coming. There was a sound of breaking through the air, and a majestic figure with angry eyes appeared above the roof of the building. Hong Daoan looked at the two people on the roof and asked, "Boss Zhou, what are you doing here?" Zhou Changsheng quickly smiled and said, "Haha, come up and take a look at the scenery. This shouldn't break the island owner's rules, right?" Hong Daoan glanced at him, and then at the guards behind him. "No, please do." After speaking, Hong Daoan flew into the sky. Zhou Changsheng wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Elder Yang, who is better between you and Hong Daoan?" Elder Yang was silent for a moment, shook his head and said, "I haven't fought before, so it's hard to say." "What about our plan this time?" Elder Yang glared at him and said coldly, "This is not something you should think about, just do your thing." Zhou Changsheng quickly lowered his head. "Yes, I understand." In the evening, Xiao Ding took Suren and his party to tour the scenery on Liyulai Island's only street. After dinner, Xiao Ding took people to a hill on Liyulai Island. On the winding mountain road, Xiao Ding and his party were accompanied by other top wealthy businessmen. Who would have thought that such a large group of the world's top wealthy businessmen would gather here to climb mountains together? This can be regarded as a different scenery. "Boss Xiao, long time no see. How are you doing?" A middle-aged man with a big belly walked over with a smile, followed by a young girl and 7 or 8 guards. Seeing this person, Suren was almost ready to find a place to hide. "Mu Hongxia, she is actually on this island." Suren remembered that Mu Hongxia went home to recuperate after the last CPU session. "I never thought she would show up here." At this time, Several geniuses from Donghai Academy brought by Cao Bufan also discovered Mu Hongxia. As the younger generation of tripod bearers of Longwu Guild, they naturally knew Mu Hongxia. Several people looked at Mu Hongxia and began to whisper. It turns out to be the head of the Mu family. Thanks to you, I'm okay. Why did Master Mu bring your daughter? Xiao Ding glanced at Mu Hongxia and then at Su Ren. He must know that these two people are from the same guild. Mu Liansheng smiled and shook his head. Haha, I don't know who deceived my daughter, saying she has a mental problem. Why don't you take her out to relax? Who is this next to you? Looking at Su Ren wearing a white jade mask, Mu Liansheng said doubtfully. This person can actually walk side by side with Xiao Ding, which shows that he is not a small person. Oh, this is my friend, his surname is Su. Upon hearing this surname, Mu Hongxia, who was still a little listless, suddenly raised her head and looked at Su Ren. After looking at Su Ren curiously, Mu Hongxia shook her head. She thought Su Ren was here too, and it seemed that she really had a mental problem. I'll go, fortunately they didn't recognize me. Su Ren secretly took a selfie of his chest. Mu Liansheng looked at Su Ren, feeling a little strange. There is no big master named Su who deserves Xiao Ding's treatment. But he didn't ask too much, this kind of thing had nothing to do with him. The Mu family is also the only family among the four in the Dragon Kingdom that has the opportunity to cooperate with Caesar. Although Mu Liansheng and Xiao Ding are competitors, they have a good personal relationship because of the same interests and hobbies. Since the two met, they naturally walked together and followed the large army up the mountain. Mu Hongxia, hello, my name is Yeziliang, I am a student of Donghai Academy. A young boy walked up to Mu Hongxia nervously and said hello. Mu Hongxia glanced at him and only said one word in reply. Roll. Yeziliang's expression changed instantly when he was scolded. He licked his face to say hello, but was scolded. After all, he was also a genius in Donghai Academy, yet Mu Hongxia was so disrespectful to him. Cao Bufan was a little angry when he saw this. Mu Hongxia, our students are kind enough to greet you. Is this how you, the students of the Long Martial Arts Guild, get along with others? Who are you? Mu Hongxia glanced at him and asked. Cao Bufan puffed up his chest and said proudly. I am Cao Bufan, one of the elders of Donghai Academy. Oh, I haven't heard of it, so get out of here. You. Cao Bufan really didn't expect that Mu Hongxia would be so completely alone. How dare you not even look down on him, the elder of Donghai Academy? Cao Bufan, shut up. Xiao Ding turned around and looked at him coldly. This guy can get him into trouble wherever he goes, I really wonder how he survived to be this old. Cao Bufan narrowed his eyes and stopped talking. Mu Liansheng also looked at his daughter at this time and said. Hongxia, don't be rude. After hearing this, Mu Hongxia took a few steps forward and walked side by side with Su Ren to avoid being harassed by those people. She didn't bother to talk to those people. It's funny, Boss Xiao. My daughter has a bit of a weird temper, but she is still very friendly to her acquaintances. In the Dragon Martial Arts Guild, her junior brothers and sisters all admire her very much. When Mu Liansheng talked about this, he couldn't help but feel a little proud. It's okay, it's okay. As a young man, it's normal to have a temper. Xiao Ding glanced at Su Ren who was standing aside. He seemed to have never seen Su Ren lose his temper. Su Ren always gave him the impression of being calm and basically not dominated by emotions. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 155. By the way, why doesn't Brother Su speak? Mu Liansheng glanced at Su Ren again curiously. When Su Ren heard this, he coughed quickly. Mu Hongxia still couldn't recognize him now that he was wearing a mask. If he spoke, Maybe Mu Hongxia would recognize him. So Suren was speechless the whole time, just walking on his own. Fortunately, Xiao Ding was also a smart man. He just took a look at Mu Hongxia and got the general idea. Haha, Brother Su has always been silent and few words, please forgive me, Master Mu. Mu Lianshen nodded and didn't worry about it. Generally, powerful people are ruthless and don't talk much, which is normal. But the dry cough just now made Mu Hongxia confused. She always felt like she had heard this voice somewhere, but she couldn't remember it for the moment. Among the people walking. At this time, the sky has darkened, and the stars are dotted in the night sky, complementing the street lights beside the road. More than 10 minutes later, everyone arrived at the mountaintop manor. This is also the only hilltop manor on Liulai Island. The cooperation discussion meeting 3 days later will be held here. Today is just a warm-up in advance. However, even though it was just a warm-up, there were also many people coming. After arriving at the door and verifying their identities, everyone filed in. Entering the manor, the lawn is already filled with all kinds of food, drinks, and wine. At this time, there were already countless people chatting and joking inside. Boss Xiao, will anyone from Caesar's group come over today? Mu Liansheng asked. It's unclear. No one knows their whereabouts. I wonder what treasures Boss Xiao has prepared tonight. Tonight is said to be a warm-up, but actually it is also to see how strong everyone is. Caesar Group is in the equipment business, so the test will naturally be on equipment-related things of each company. As for operational development, etc., it is not something that Caesar's Group values. Anyone who can come here will definitely not have any problems in this regard. They also want to see what each family's strength is. If you want to win here, you must have at least legendary equipment and materials. A little thing, keep it secret for now. Xiao Ding replied with a smile. Mu Lianshen nodded. Although the relationship between the two was good, they didn't talk about everything. So Mu Lianshen didn't ask any more questions. At this time, a white stage slowly rose up in the lawn. Although it is dark now, the lights in the manor have already illuminated the place as bright as day. The stage also became more distinct. But no one has come on stage yet. Brother Su, I'm going to talk to the others first, you can do whatever you want. Xiao Ding whispered to Suren. Suren nodded. He didn't like this kind of interpersonal interaction. It is said that this manor is the residence of the owner of Liulai Island. There's definitely no problem in terms of safety. So Suren didn't need to follow him. Suren randomly found a seat in the corner and sat down. Mu Hongxia didn't seem to like this kind of occasion either, and followed Suren over. The few people Cao Bufan brought had just met with disgrace, and naturally they would not come to Mu Hongxia again. But they are the children of a big family after all, so they are quite comfortable in this kind of situation. Soon several people ran to talk with young people from other countries. Seeing Mu Hongxia coming over, Suren suddenly felt a headache. Fortunately, she didn't talk to Suren, she just sat aside and stared at the stars in a daze. About half an hour later, a middle-aged man in a black dress slowly walked to the stage, and then greeted everyone. Welcome to our Liulai Island. I, Feng Tianchang, would like to welcome you all on behalf of the island owner. Seeing this man, everyone stopped talking. Someone below complimented. Butler Feng, you looked like this 20 years ago, and your style is still better than that of then. Haha, thank you for your praise, Boss Henry. Time is not forgiving, and I am also a little out of my depth. Butler Feng is so humble. You will have no problem working for another 30 years. Feng Tiancheng smiled and nodded slightly, without further discussing this topic. Suren looked at this person and frowned slightly. It seems that no matter how powerful one is in this world, his lifespan will not be much longer than that of ordinary people. The only advantage that professionals seem to have in this regard is that they don't get sick. Therefore, the lifespan of most professionals will be over 120 years old, but not much more. Although Suren didn't recognize Feng Tiancheng, he heard from others that his appearance had not changed in 20 years. This is a little strange. No matter how well maintained it is, it shouldn't be so powerful. Suren concluded that there must be a secret on Liulai Island. Suren could think that the others were not stupid either, but they didn't show it. At this time, Feng Tiancheng continued to speak. Everyone is called here tonight just to hold a treasure appraisal conference. If you have any rare equipment or materials, you can bring them to the stage to share them with everyone. Of course, if there is a boss who likes it, you can discuss the price privately and we will trade fairly. Now, everyone can take turns on stage to share your treasures. After saying this, Feng Tiancheng gave up his seat and waited quietly for the children below to take the stage. This is not so much a treasure appraisal conference as a show-off conference, where the competition is all about face and strength. Suren took a look at his space backpack. The items were basically sold out, with only a few items left for handing in job transfer tasks. Of all his possessions, the only thing he treasured was the 1,000 blades of the demon sword. But it's definitely impossible to show off this thing. While everyone was waiting, Zhou Changsheng was the first to walk up. Since everyone is trying to shirk, then Zhou should come and offer some advice. Everyone, watch out. After Zhou Changsheng finished speaking, he took out a blood-red bead. This bead is only the size of a longan, and is scarlet in color beneath the crystal-clear surface. The bloody aura it exuded directly caused everyone who was close to take 2 steps back. What is this? I've never seen it before. It doesn't look like an ordinary thing. Everyone looked at the bead with confusion. There were so many wealthy businessmen present, but no one recognized this thing. Seeing everyone's appearance, Zhou Changsheng smiled and said, "Everyone knows that a person's qi and blood power will weaken after 50, unless he breaks through to a high level to rebuild his qi and blood. But if you can't break through, what should you do?" After everyone heard this, they couldn't help but ask. "You mean your beads can delay the aging of qi and blood?" Zhou Changsheng nodded. "Not only can it delay the aging of qi and blood, but it also has the effect of increasing lifespan." Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Longevity, this is such an elusive word. The richer they are, the more they fear death, let alone top rich people like them. It can be said that even if they can only extend their life by 1 year, they will fight to the death. No matter how much it costs, they don't care. Because money is just a number to them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 156. Zhou Changsheng, are you telling the truth? Can it really increase your lifespan? Someone looked at the bead eagerly. Suren looked over and saw that this man had gray hair and wrinkled skin. He looked to be at least 100 years old. No wonder he was so anxious. Such people definitely don't come here to cooperate with Caesar's group, they probably come here to seek something like this to increase their lifespan. Zhou Changsheng smiled confidently, since I dare to say this, it is naturally true. You can see its properties for yourself. Zhou Changsheng shared the information about the beads. Suren also glanced over curiously. Bloodthirsty beads. Category, material. Level, legend. Level, none. Efficacy, absorb the blood of living beings for your own use, which has a certain life-extending effect. It's a very vague introduction, and it doesn't say how much it can extend your life. But this is enough to pique the interest of these people. As long as it has an effect, who cares how much it actually has? Boss Joe, Are you selling these beads? That's right. Now that you've taken it out, let's make a price. Looking at the anxious people in the audience, Zhou Changsheng smiled slightly. Sorry everyone, this bead is not for sale. Why? Everyone was extremely disappointed when they heard this, but there was nothing they could do. There is no rule in this treasure appraisal conference that things must be sold. Don't worry, everyone. To be honest, I have no less than 10 of these things. What? 10? Everyone looked at Zhou Changsheng in shock. He actually had more than 10 of these treasures that could increase longevity. Boss Zhou, what do you mean by this? Zhou Changsheng didn't want to sell it, but he wanted to show it off to seduce everyone. Everyone didn't understand what he wanted to do for a while. Seeing that his emotions had been seduced, Zhou Changsheng smiled and said, Haha, don't worry, I said I won't sell it, but I didn't say I couldn't give it away. Zhou is not interested in money. My only hobby is to make more friends. As long as you are Zhou's friend, it's not impossible to give him something small, don't you think? Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. It's free, are you sure? Zhou Changsheng could have made a lot of money with this thing, but he actually chose to give it away for free. As a businessman who can't afford to start early, this doesn't sound true. Of course, it depends on whether you are willing to be friends with Zhou. Haha, Boss Zhou is joking, we are friends to begin with, aren't we? A rich white man with white hair said loudly. It turns out to be Boss Tom. Of course we are friends. Zhou Changsheng threw the bloodthirsty beads in his hand towards Tom. Tom didn't expect Zhou Changsheng to give it away, so he quickly stretched out his hands to catch the bead, fearing that it would fall to the ground. Boss Zhou, how do you use this thing? Tom said anxiously. I will tell you how to use it later. Now, is there any other boss who is willing to be my friend, Zhou? Boss Zhou, all the businessmen in our great Eagle Empire are willing to be your friends. Looking at the people in the audience, Zhou Changsheng took out more than a dozen bloodthirsty beads and distributed them to them. The people who can get the bloodthirsty beads are the powerful and old and infirm people in each country. Xiao Ding glanced at Zhou Changsheng, wondering what he wanted to do. Even if these people knew Zhou Changsheng had a plan, they still couldn't resist the temptation of the bloodthirsty bead. Unlike those rich people who are in their prime, their lifespan is coming to an end anyway. What is more important than living for 2 more days? This is also the reason why Zhou Changsheng gives gifts selectively. This thing may not attract those young rich people. After Zhou Changsheng finished handing out the things, he nodded towards Feng Tiancheng and said, Excuse me, Butler Feng, my things have been displayed. After Zhou Changsheng finished speaking, he walked off the stage, and more than a dozen elderly wealthy people gathered around him. They haven't been given the means to use it yet. Where else would the boss want to show off his treasures? Feng Tiancheng looked towards the audience. I come. A middle-aged man with blonde hair and blue eyes walked up. Everyone must have seen my stuff before, and I won't keep it secret. The middle-aged man took out a golden gift box. After opening the box, a round monster crystal core was lying inside. TCH, why is it a monster crystal core? I thought it was something good. Come on down. Can you bring something like this to the stage? The man introduced slowly. Don't worry, everyone, just listen to what I have to say. The level of this crystal core is definitely beyond your imagination. How high is it? I think it's only about level 800 at most. Level 800 is useless, it's just rubbish. Suren looked at the person who had just finished speaking. Judging from his tone, he really thought that the 800 level monster crystal core was garbage. You must know that Suren spent several billion to shoot a level 700 monster crystal core. This guy is really rich and willful, and level 800 is rubbish. Everyone, please take a look at its grade and grade. This person shared the information about the crystal core. Dragon crystal. Category, material. Level, legend. Level, 900. Explanation, the crystal core of the holy beast Kang Long. Seeing this attribute, Suren couldn't help but hum. The crystal core of the holy beast, damn. And it's as high as level 900. Who can kill a level 900 holy beast so fiercely? Suren could do it, but how did others do it? Master, hurry, hurry, I want this. The Ice Dragon King looked at this thing with great desire. Why are you here? Let's just buy a cheaper one for you to try. Master, I can evolve after eating this thing, believe me. The Ice Dragon King flew up and down in the pet space anxiously. Evolve into a divine beast. It should be possible. It might be a bit expensive. Suren looked at his balance, which was less than 300 billion, and suddenly felt a little poor. Okay, if I buy it for you to eat and you don't evolve, then I will eat you. Haha, okay, master, I want to take a bite too. Shika clapped her hands and said excitedly. Steel hid in the corner and swallowed silently while watching the Ice Dragon King. But it was very careful not to let the Ice Dragon King hear it. Suren withdrew his gaze from the beast's space, then stood up and walked towards Xiao Ding. He still has to make a bid for this matter. At this time, the atmosphere at the scene became lively again. It was not like they had never seen high-level crystal cores before. But if it is the crystal core of a holy beast at level 900, then it can be said to be a unique product. The actual value of this thing is only tens of billions, because the role of the crystal core is only to provide energy. The holy beast crystal core is no exception. But just like calligraphy and painting, this thing is not just tens of billions. It can be called a unique collection. Boss, are you ready to sell? Of course, we will bid on site, with a minimum starting price of 30 billion. As soon as the man finished speaking, Xiao Ding raised his hand and said, I'll give you 100 billion. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 157. As soon as the price came out, everyone looked at Xiao Ding. Boss Xiao, you are raising the price quite harshly. It is said that Boss Xiao has been acquiring high-end crystal cores around the world recently. Does he want to expand his business into the energy field? Hey, the equipment and materials business is good, but who doesn't want to diversify? This idea seems quite normal. Seeing that Xiao Ding was determined to win, at least 70% of the people gave up the idea of bidding. It is impossible for them to ignore the cash flow at this price. The remaining 30% are waiting and considering, because the price has far exceeded its actual value. Even as a collection they have to think about it. Is there anyone else offering a higher price? The person on the stage was not very satisfied with the price. If he hadn't had some problems with his capital chain recently, he wouldn't have put this thing up for sale. The man shouted again, and finally someone offered a price. I'll give you 100 billion and one. Everyone turned their attention to the speaker. Since the person selling the item has no limit on how much he can increase the price each time, his bidding makes sense. It's just that there are all the top rich people present, and no one expected that anyone would bid like this. This kind of bidding method is either hateful or deliberately disgusting. Sure enough, the speaker was a Sakura countryman with a mustache, about 80 years old. It turns out to be Ichiro Koizumi. Some time ago, his younger brother died in the Dragon Kingdom and was hanged for 3 days. Ichiro Koizumi wanted to discuss Xiao Ding. 100 years ago, the Dragon Kingdom was in chaos and weak. The Sakura Kingdom took the opportunity to invade. The Dragon Kingdom suffered heavy casualties. Now the people of the Dragon Kingdom have long hated them. Now that the Dragon Kingdom is flourishing, it is said that a genius who is even stronger than the sword god was born some time ago. I can see that the Sakura kingdom will be in trouble soon. Hey, it's better to start a fight. Otherwise, who will we sell our equipment to? Listening to the discussions around him, Koizumi Ichiro closed his eyes and remained motionless, as if everything had nothing to do with him. Xiao Ding snorted coldly. 150 billion. Even if he goes bankrupt, there is no way he will lose to Ichiro Koizumi. 150 billion, 01. Koizumi Ichiro didn't even raise his eyelids. 200 billion. As soon as the price came out, the person selling the crystal core on the stage suddenly beamed. This has exceeded his expectations. His ideal price is about 150 billion. Dingsheng Group is really rich, I don't want it anymore. Koizumi Ichiro opened his eyes and looked at Xiao Ding with a faint smile. He just intervened casually and made Xiao Ding spend an extra 100 billion. He was very satisfied with the result. His dull mood became much happier. But maybe he didn't notice Suren's eyes next to Xiao Ding. Old man, you're wasting 100 billion on me. Sooner or later I'm going to find you to blast gold coins. You have to pay for this money. 200 billion, is there any increase in price? The people on the stage shouted 3 times in a row, but no one bid again. Congratulations, Boss Xiao, the stuff is yours. This person jumped off the stage in one step and walked to Xiao Ding's side to start trading. Xiao Ding took the things and handed them to Suren. Of course, Suren paid for it himself. After all, at this price, Xiao Ding felt a little bit pained. If Ichiro Koizumi raised the price just now, he would also use the money to subsidize Suren's vacancy. At this time, the Ice Dragon King raised his head and drooled all over the floor, anxiously waiting to be fed. That's disgusting. This scene made Zika feel disgusted, and she walked away holding the 9-colored divine phoenix egg. Suren didn't catch it and threw the crystal core directly into the beast's space. The Ice Dragon King opened his mouth wide and swallowed it in one gulp. Ho ho ho. Thank you, Master. The Ice Dragon King was wagging his tail, extremely excited. It was a little unhappy when it was first adopted as a pet by Suren. But now, it feels like it was all worth it. If it continues to stay in Tianzu Mountain as its king, it will never have the chance to be promoted to a divine beast in its lifetime. All these are the benefits it gained from following Suren. Hey, come and feel it. The Ice Dragon King felt a slight heat in his abdomen, and then his head became a little dizzy. A force spread from its abdomen to its whole body, and soon reached its limbs. No, I also want to take a nap. After the Ice Dragon King finished speaking, he lay down on a piece of ice and snow caught by Suren and fell asleep. Suren didn't look at it, but returned to his seat. Mu Hongxia stared at Suren, who came back, and she could clearly hear Suren's soft hum just now. She felt more and more like she had heard it somewhere. Seeing Mu Hongxia staring at him, Suren nodded slightly to her and sat down again. Did Boss Xiao buy that crystal core for you? Mu Hongxia couldn't help but ask curiously. Even she found it incredible that Xiao Ding gave away 200 billion worth of things as soon as he said so. Suren didn't reply to her, but just looked at the people on the stage who came on stage again to share their treasures. The next few people were just showing off their collections and had no plans to sell them. Seeing that tonight's treasure appraisal meeting was about to end, 2 figures flew up in the sky. To be precise, one person flew over while supporting the other person. Someone in the crowd commented, "It's angry-eyed King Kong Hongdaoan." The other person, the owner of Liulai Island. Why did he come to the party tonight? The two landed firmly on the stage, and Hongdaoan retreated to the side of the stage. Butler Feng Tiancheng quickly stepped forward and bowed. "Island Master, why are you here?" The owner of Liulai Island chuckled and said, "Come and take a look, and buy something from the bosses on the way." The others were surprised again when they heard this. What does the island owner want to buy? There are actually things that the island owner needs to purchase in person. Suren looked at this man. He was probably over 100 years old and needed the support of a housekeeper to even stand. However, his mental state seems to be okay, but his body is very old. Is this the owner of Liulai Island? How can he control a master like Hongdaoan at his age? Suren wondered in his heart. According to common sense, an old man who has difficulty walking, no matter how rich he is, wants to command others in this world where strength is respected. It's a very difficult thing. This place does not belong to any country. If Hongdaoan wants to take advantage of him, it should be easy to force him to find out his property. Why work for him as a subordinate? Suren couldn't understand. In fact, others couldn't figure it out. They were also curious about what methods the owner of Liulai Island used to make Hongdaoan and Wangming willing to sacrifice their lives for him. They also urgently need this method, because this is also a problem they will face when they grow old. They need strong people to help them, but when they are old and unable to do what they want, they are prone to backlash from these people. The owner of Liulai Island looked at everyone and slowly said what he needed. I would like to buy a bottle of ambergris from you. I wonder which boss has a collection. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 158. Ambergris. Everyone looked at each other in surprise. How is this possible? Yes, this thing is only known by the Dragon Clan. The question is, where is the Dragon Clan? I don't even know which dungeon or area has dragons. This race seems to have become extinct. Wait a moment. Suddenly someone said. Do you still remember the last global announcement? You mean the Ice Dragon King? Yes, it is the Ice Dragon King of Tianzu Mountain. This should be a dragon creature that everyone knows, right? No wonder the island owner came in person. Maybe he came here just for the ambergris of the Ice Dragon King. Now the only one with ambergris is the Ice Dragon King. At this time, the owner of Liulai Island took out a bottle only half the size of a palm and spoke again. It seems that everyone knows it, so I won't hide it from you. I will take this opportunity today to buy a bottle of ambergris of this size from you. If this news is released, the owner of the Ice Dragon King will definitely sell a bottle to everyone. You can sell it to me when the time comes. My purchase price is 100 billion for a bottle. In terms of quantity, the more the merrier. If you buy it at a fair price, I can give you some welfare resources. I would like to thank you all. Everyone was amazed at the price after hearing this. Only Suren looked at the pool of saliva in the beast's face with a strange look on his face. That's right, it was left behind by the Ice Dragon King before he fell asleep. Suren looked at the area. There must be 2 bottles anyway, right? Steal, collect its saliva. I'll buy you a bottle later. Ah! Master, this thing is too evil. What's too great? How dare you despise it? Do you believe that when the Ice Dragon King wakes up, I will tell it that you despise it? No. Master, I'm kidding you. Steel looked willingly. Hurry up and put it away. If you miss a drop, I will cause trouble for you. Tisk, tisk, how pitiful. Shika looked at Steel with a look of gloating. But don't you think these humans are disgusting? The broken dragon is drooling. Hey, I feel like throwing up when I see them. Suren looked away. He didn't care about this, as long as the other party was willing to pay, then anything could be said. It's just that I can't hand this thing over now, otherwise it will definitely reveal that I am the owner of the Ice Dragon King. Just find a time in the future and ask Xiao Ding to help sell it to the owner of Liulai Island. Ahem, ahem. The owner of Liulai Island coughed twice rapidly. Feng Tiancheng quickly supported him. Island Master, it's time for you to rest. Okay, Butler Fen will help me back. Fen Tianchen nodded, looked at the crowd and said, Bosses, that's it for tonight's party. I wish you all a happy time on the island these 3 days. I'll see you in 3 days. After Feng Tiancheng finished speaking, he and Hong Daoan helped the owner of Liulai Island leave the place. Seeing this, other people also left the manor and walked down the mountain. Boss Xiao, are you selling that bracelet just now? I want to buy it for my daughter for self-defense. Mu Liansheng found Xiao Ding again. Just now Xiao Ding showed off a bracelet with a total of 3 beads, each of which could withstand an attack from a rank 8 strongman. The only drawback is that this thing is disposable. When you really face a strong player at level 8, they won't just hit you 3 times. At most, it can prevent being killed. Master Mu said what I wanted to buy. It's just a bracelet. I'll give it to you. However, in terms of cooperation with Caesar's group in 3 days, will our 2 families join forces? You saw just now that the old man of the Southwest Du group has gone with Zhou Changsheng. Mu Lianshen nodded. I'm afraid our 2 families won't be able to drink the soup if we don't join forces. Do you think Zhou Changshen's beads can really extend your life? What? Master Mu, are you also moved? Xiao Ding said with a smile. It would be a lie to say that you are not heartbroken. Who doesn't want to live a few more years? I just don't know whether Zhou Changshen's stuff is real or fake, and I always feel like he has some ulterior motive. Xiao Ding was silent for a moment after hearing this. He knew Zhou Changshen's character very well. Giving away something for free today is definitely not normal. But those people voluntarily accepted Zhou Changshen's gifts, and there was no way he could dissuade them. Hey, I hope this trip goes well. Xiao Ding raised his head and looked at the night sky. The night sky that was originally full of stars has been shrouded in dark clouds, and the wind has started to pick up outside. It's just that the shield protects it so you can't feel it inside. Mu Liansheng also raised his head and frowned. It looks like there's going to be a big storm tonight. The weather at sea can change at any time, and no one can predict it accurately. Room number 303 on the 3rd floor of Tianhai Hotel. An elderly rich man played with the blood-colored beads in his hand. If you use the blood of a strong person to make up for it, the effect will be even better. This is what Zhou Changsheng said to him. The blood of the strong. Why do I feel like I've heard of this somewhere? The rich man frowned, recalled carefully for a moment, and then said in surprise. I remembered. This is something from the Yeshen cult. It must be that cult that confuses people. The rich man shook his hand, and the bloodthirsty beads fell to the ground, making a thumping sound when they touched the floor. They must have some conspiracy. No, I have to tell the others. Just as he was about to stand up, a wisp of black energy flew out from the bloodthirsty bead and turned into a human-shaped black shadow standing in front of the rich man. Boss Du Jingyun, where are you going? Du Jingyun looked at the dark figure in front of him and said in shock. Who are you? How did you get into my room? Every room in the Tianhai Hotel is protected by an independent formation. No one can enter the room without touching the formation. Me? Of course you brought me in. Let me introduce myself. I am the Zhou protector of the Night God sect, known as the Blood Demon. You are not an entity? What on earth are you? Du Jingyun's face was full of horror at this time, and the person in front of him could not even be considered a human being. I already told you that my name is Blood Demon. Of course I am not a human being. Boss Du can call me another name, extraterrestrial demon. Du Jingyun was shocked when he heard this. Outside the territory demon. How could you break through the barrier and come in? The Blood Demon said disdainfully. Haha, I've come in a long time ago, it's just that you humans don't know. Boss Du, don't panic. We, the Yeshen cult, have no ill intentions. As long as Boss Du is obedient, we guarantee that you can live for decades longer. We can definitely work together. Cooperation? Stop dreaming. It's impossible for me to cooperate with extraterrestrial demons. Du Jingyun looked coldly at the black shadow in front of him. Boss Du, this is your fault. I have already shown my sincerity. Shouldn't you also show your sincerity? Don't even think about it. Countless people in his ancestors died at the hands of the alien demons. Although he wanted to live a few more years, it did not mean that he would bow to the alien demons. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 159. It's really troublesome. The blood demon was obviously angry. If it weren't for Yeshen's order, he would have occupied Du Jingyun's body long ago. Boss Du, my patience is limited. If you force me again, there are some things I won't abide by. What exactly do you want to do? The blood demon patiently said after hearing this. I said, we just want to cooperate with you. Are you not curious at all about the truth of this world? Where do so many awakening temples come from? Why can all human beings awaken so-called professions and have their own panel attributes when they reach the age of 18? Who digitized the world? Who controls it all? You really don't want to know anything. Also, don't you want to know why the most powerful professional can't live to be 150 years old? We in the Night God cult are committed to this, so we invite all the bosses to explore together. If it weren't for this, you would have been a corpse long ago. Why would I need to talk nonsense to you? After listening to the blood demon's account, Du Jingyun fell silent. These are indeed questions that most humans have thought about. Humans are always curious creatures, eager to know the truth behind all mysteries. Especially those in high positions, they are even more eager to know these things. Sometimes this desire is larger than life. Looking at Du Jingyun, who was silent, the blood demon spoke again. Don't hesitate, our Yeshen cult has shown enough sincerity, it's your turn to show it. After a long time, Du Jingyun asked. How much do you know about these things? The blood demon smiled confidently, half. Hearing this, Du Jingyun was extremely shocked. Half, which means that many puzzles have been solved by them and only the last half is left. And now maybe even half of all human beings combined don't know. The position of the Night God sect in Du Jingyun's heart has changed. The demagogic cult seems to have changed. After Du Jingyun thought for a while, he said. You tell me something I know, and I can consider whether to cooperate. The blood demon whispered something into his ear. Every time Du Jingyun heard a sentence, the shock in his eyes deepened. In the end, everyone stood frozen on the spot as if struck by lightning. Is what you said true? Du Jingyun said in disbelief. Of course, I said, this is the sincerity of our Night God cult. You should also understand that an extraterrestrial demon like me could have killed you a long time ago, but I didn't do that. Instead, I patiently explained to you. What else do you have doubts about? Du Jingyun thought for a long time, then nodded and said. I would like to work with you, what do I need to do? The blood demon shook his head. You don't need to do anything. Keep the bloodthirsty bead. We will use it to contact you if anything happens. Also, what Zhou Changsheng told you is true. You can find an opportunity to use the bloodthirsty beads to absorb the blood of others for your own use. Don't worry, they can't tell. It's a slow process. Haha, goodbye, Boss Du. After speaking, the blood demon returned to the bloodthirsty bead and disappeared. After the blood demon left, Du Jingyun murmured to himself. I never thought that I, Du Jingyun, would be lucky enough to witness this great moment. Du Jingyun bent down to pick up the bloodthirsty beads on the ground, wiped them and put them in his backpack. After a night of violent storms, the sky the next day was as clean and bright as if it had been washed by water. The breeze blew across the sea, causing ripples. Nothing happened today. Suren found Xiao Ding early in the morning and handed him 2 bottles. Brother Su, what is this? Xiao Ding opened the bottle and smelled it strangely. A strange fragrance came out, and Xiao Ding couldn't help but smell it a little more. Seeing the scene in the pet space, Shika was already laughing so hard that she fell forward and backward. Ha ha ha, it's so funny, this human actually took 2 more sniffs. Suren held back his laughter and just told him quietly. This is the main ambergris on Liulai Island last night. You can find an opportunity to sell it to him in 2 days. Just say that you got it from outside in the past 2 days. Hearing that this was ambergris, Xiao Ding couldn't help but take a few more sips, and then looked at Suren in surprise. Seeing this scene, Shika laughed again. Ha 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 ha. No, 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 my chest hurts from laughing. Shika was suddenly stunned after laughing, and a strange memory flooded into her mind again. Shika murmured. Hessen Star Territory, what is this place? Shika shook his head, covered his forehead with his hands and squatted down in pain. Suren was talking to Xiao Ding and didn't notice her situation. After Xiao Ding put away the ambergris, he asked Suren. Brother Su, how come you have this magical object? Suren smiled and did not reply to his words. Xiao Ding was suddenly startled. How could he be a stupid person if he could start from scratch? After just thinking about it for a moment, he understood. Brother Su, did you conquer the Ice Dragon King? Looking at Xiao Ding, who was stunned, Suren just said lightly. Keep it secret. Xiao Ding nodded quickly to express his understanding. Since Suren didn't take out this thing last night, it meant that Suren didn't want to expose that he owned the Ice Dragon King. It is naturally impossible for Xiao Ding to publicize this matter. Brother Su, that's a level 880 boss. How did you do it? Xiao Ding had a new understanding of Suren's strength. In the past, he only knew that Suren could instantly kill an 8-level professional, but this was not enough compared to conquering a level 880 boss. A boss of this level can only be subdued by a top 9 level warrior. Thinking of this, Xiao Ding looked at Suren with more and more respect. By conquering the Ice Dragon King alone, wouldn't Suren's strength have reached level 9 or above? Xiao Ding didn't dare to imagine any more. 9 turns, Dragon Kingdom has only a few 9 turns. In the entire Blue Star, there are no more than 20 top-ranked 9 experts. This means that Suren's strength is already among the top 20 in the world. A man among the top 20 in the world turned out to be the backer of his Hessian group. As long as he doesn't act recklessly, it will be difficult for Ding Sheng to become stronger. Suren didn't expect that Xiao Ding could think of so many things, so he once again replied with the word confidential to his inquiry. Dong dong dong. At this time there was a knock on the door. Xiao Ding walked to the door suspiciously and looked through the video phone. An old man with silver hair was standing at the door knocking on the door. Du Jingyun? Why did he come to me? Xiao Ding opened the door in confusion. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 160. Mr. Du, what can you do? Xiao Ding asked politely. After all, the other party is also a leading figure in the business world. Although the two families are competitors, Xiao Ding will still give him the respect he deserves. Haha, Boss Xiao, can't I come and chat with you if I have nothing to do? Du Jingyun smiled kindly. That's not true. Xiao Ding welcomes you anytime. Shall we come into your house to talk? This. Xiao Ding looked back and saw that Suren was still here. Du Jingyun also discovered Suren at this time and couldn't help but ask. Boss Xiao, who is this? Oh, a friend of mine came with me to Liulai Island to discuss business this time. Boss Xiao, let's go to the end of the corridor and chat for a while. Du Jingyun turned sideways and invited. Mr. Du, if you have anything to say, just tell me. There are no secrets between my friend and me. Du Jingyun glanced at Suren, then whispered a few words into Xiaoding's ear. Xiaoding frowned when he heard this and said, Mr. Du, have you been bewitched? If I remember correctly, did you also receive Zhou Changshen's bloodthirsty beads last night? Du Jingyun nodded and shook his head. Yes, I collected Zhou Zhang's bloodthirsty beads. But today I came to see you, Boss Xiao, because I saw the huge development potential of your Dingsheng group and invited you to join. Such a great opportunity, are you sure you really want to miss it? Xiaoding smiled and shook his head. I'm sorry, Mr. Du, I'm not interested in those things. That's not what I, a businessman, should think about. So, please come back. Du Jingyun was slightly angry when he heard this. Boss Xiao, after learning the truth about this world, are you still obsessed with the so-called money and power? These things are just floating clouds, why don't you understand? Mr. Du, tens of thousands of people in my company depend on me for food and livelihood. Are you telling me that these are illusory things? Xiaoding is just a common man. He does not have such a high consciousness as you. Mr. Du, please come back. Du Jingyun hates that iron can't make steel. Xiaoding, are you sure you want to reject my invitation? Xiaoding's eyes were clear and firm as he said. If you don't agree, please don't agree, Boss Du. Xiaoding even changed his honorific title. After speaking, he turned around and closed the door directly, no longer caring about Du Jingyun. Humph, you ignorant and stupid mortal, one day you will regret your choice. Du Jingyun left angrily. After he knew the so-called truth, he already considered himself to be transcendent from the worldly beings. He is now acting with a sense of mission to save the world. Unexpectedly, the first person to be saved ended in failure. This naturally made him extremely angry. Du Jingyun gathered his emotions and walked towards the next room. Who was that person just now? Suren asked casually. Du Jingyun, the head of the Du family in the southwest, is also the last family in the Long Kingdom besides me, the Mu family, and Zhou Changsheng. The Du family is an old family, and the entire 5 southwest states of the Dragon Kingdom are within their sphere of influence. In terms of economic strength, the Du family ranks at least in the top 3. Then aren't you competitors? Why did he come to you? Xiaoding shook his head and said, maybe he was bewitched by Zhou Changsheng to come and talk nonsense to me, saying that he knew the truth about this world and asked me to join them. They also said that our Blue Star is a place to prevent eviction. In short, they are full of nonsense. Exiled land. Suren was a little curious about this title. Judging from his earthly knowledge, there are countless planets in the universe. There must be other planets outside this blue star, but what exactly is outside seems to have not been mentioned in the knowledge of this world. I just use the term outer sky or starry sky to make a general summary. Boss Xiao, do you know what Tianhui is? Tianhui? Isn't Tianhui the battlefield guarded by Tianguan? Where was it outside the battlefield that day? Xiaoding shook his head. I don't know about this, because the outer battlefield is full of extraterrestrial demons. It's good if we can defend it, let alone go out. No one knows what's out there. When Xiaoding said this, he suddenly thought of someone. If anyone knows what is outside the battlefield, I think there is only one person, and that is Lord Sword God. Only he fought his way through the outer battlefield and entered the starry sky. It's just that happened 30 years ago, and no one knows whether Master Sword God is still alive. Sword God. Suren glanced at the ray of sword intent in his backpack. It was given by that man. This ray of sword intent is currently stronger than his drawing sword in some aspects, and can even cut down invisible objects. Why do you suddenly ask about this? Oh, just asking casually. 3 days passed very quickly, and many people came outside Liulai Island one after another. At least several times more than 3 days ago. The entire Liulai Island became more lively. However, Suren did not notice the danger Xiao Ding mentioned. The security situation on the entire island has always been very good under the day and night patrols of Hongdaoan and Wangming. But since Xiao Ding and others have hired guards for protection, it means that there must be danger, but it has not appeared yet. 3 days later in the afternoon, Xiao Ding handed Suren a card. Brother Su, your things have been sold to the island owner, and here are the 200 billion. Xiao Ding was obviously in a good mood and was smiling the whole time. Boss Xiao, why are you so happy? Suren took the card and put it into his backpack. Thanks to your 2 bottles of ambergris, the island owner said that he will help me intercede when the time comes. Our cooperation with Caesar's group can basically be said to be stable. Then the island owner's words are so effective. Xiao Ding nodded. The words of the island owner are of course effective, and Caesar's group must also give him face. Well, then congratulations to Boss Xiao in advance. Hey, I still have to rely on you, Brother Su, otherwise I wouldn't be able to go so smoothly. The two chatted casually for a while. In the evening, Mu Liansheng brought people to find Xiao Ding. The two of them led everyone out of the hotel and walked to the manor 3 days ago. On the way, the two of them talked while walking. Boss Xiao, have you encountered anything strange in the past 2 days? Mu Liansheng looked around and chatted softly with Xiao Ding. What's weird? Has Du Jingyun come to see you? Hearing this name, Xiao Ding understood. He never expected that Du Jingyun would go to Mu Liansheng. It seemed that Du Jingyun was really stunned. Fortunately, he didn't pay much attention to him that day. I looked for it, but I rejected it. Mu Liansheng was a little surprised when he heard this and asked quickly. Did you promise him? Master Mu, do you think I, Xiao Ding, am a psychopath? Ha ha ha, that's true. I, Mu Liansheng, am not crazy. The two looked at each other and smiled again after hearing this.